right, here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about this here, right? We're talking about reactionary gap, right? What is the reactionary gap, Mr. Todd?
It's the distance that you need from your opponent in order to react in time to defend against their strike.
Okay. Why is that important?
You don't get punched in the face.
Simply so you don't get punched in the face, right? I mean, but is it only a punch in the face that's a threat?
No.
What else?
You get clenched.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You could be grabbed, taking down, right? It's the first thing. Stabs are the scariest, right? The first threat you've got to deal with, right, to be able to defend yourself in real conflict is you must have time to react to the threat. And often that happens so fast that you do not understand that you were in problem in the first place, right? By understanding and maintaining the reactionary gap, what you're actually doing is knowing how far your opponent is from you at all times, right? So that you're buying yourself time. It's not how much reach you have, but how much reach your opponent has that is the threat, right? If you are too close and underestimating the threat, they can hit you, attack you, take you down, choke you, any number of things before you can react to it, right? And this principle is the foundation of serious self-defense, right? Because when you are too close to your opponent, they get a free shot. But more importantly, this is where most real conflicts happen anyway, right? Give me an example. What does it look like? Right, people are in your face, right? Running their mouths, giving you a hard time, right? What does everybody usually do?
Grab you.
Push away. Now stop. Freeze right there. What's what happened? What you've actually done is instinctively or intentionally created what? Space. You've opened the reactionary gap. And that is a valid principle. Unfortunately, it's not a great tactical choice. The reason is what, Mr. Dunn?
Because you're out of strike, you're out of distance.
Right. If I just push him away, absolutely. If I just push him away, that means he can what?
Come back and do it again.
Come back and hit again. You just took turns, and you gave him a free turn. That's bad math. That is not the Kajukenbo way. So the reactionary gap is the amount of space it takes you have to manage between you and your opponent to make sure that they don't get a strike off. And by keeping that distance properly maintained, you neutralize some of his threats, right? His tactics and strategies, right? So to drill this, the first thing we're going to talk about is actually the first strike advantage itself and how this applies. We're going to drill something so that you're developing and understanding the reactionary gap. So what we know is action beats reaction within
Arm's reach.
Action beats reaction within arm's reach. Is this true, Mr. Dunn? You've got 2 black belts.
Yes, sir. I speak personally.
Mr. Glendenning, you have several years of Muay Thai training. What do you think?
Yeah, it's helpful.
Mr. Todd, some Shido-Ryu back there, right?
Yeah, and some black eyes.
And some black eyes, right. Right, it all adds up. What we do, we're going to take a simple drill, right? You're going to go neutral stance. What's the neutral stance? Just feet about shoulder width apart and relaxed, right? Nothing fancy. And you're both going to put your hands on your opponent's shoulders. What does this represent?
Arm's reach.
Arm's reach, right? I know I'm within arm's reach because I've just simply proven it. It's not that complicated, right? By being within arm's reach, we train within arm's reach. Now, we both relax, put our hands down. We're going to have the good guy be the shorter human for the sake of the drill. Right? That way I ain't got to do the math. Yeah, I think
Johnny, would you stand back to back with me?
for the sake of argument, I'm going to say Mr. Todd in the black shirt and the black pants, or the black shorts, or the good guy, and John, the tall guy in the white shirt, there is the bad guy. Right? And we're going to drill this principle a little bit. All we're going to do simply, and the guys in the back row, you're doing the same thing, right? What you're going to do, Mr. Todd, reach your finger out and just poke Mr. Glendenning there, right in the middle of the chest, right? Just a poke, right? Nothing fancy. You're not doing Hassan chop or anything, right? What we're going to do, very simply, Mr. Todd, everybody else, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And on 3, I want you to poke him in the chest. When I say poke him in the chest, I don't mean act like you're going to poke him in the chest. One of the biggest concerns in Kajukenbo is the simple principle that there's a very big difference between training with a resisting opponent and training with a partner that's pretending to resist, right? So for this drill to make any sense, and for you to actually learn anything about it, Mr. Todd, you've actually got to try to poke him in the chest, right? or John or anybody else, right? You can't just act like you're doing it. We have, it's not just the simple concept of resistance or opposition, right? But you have to have intent to seriously do this, right? Just like a bad guy would in real conflict. So when I say 1, 2, 3, go, I want you to poke him in the chest. You're not trying to put your hand through his chest. It's not the dim mock or something. But when you do it, when I say 3, everybody here should know it's coming, right? So when it's coming, you are free to slip the punch, block it, trap it, do anything you can to try to not get poked in the middle of your chest. And everybody use your dominant hand. Raise your your dominant hand, not your right hand. Raise your dominant hand. That's the hand you're going to use right now to poke each other in the chest. The defender can use either hand to defend with, of course, but you know exactly which hands it's coming from. And you know exactly where it's coming from, what the target is. So I want you to do whatever you can to defend the strike, but make sure you're not hitting him back. That's not a drill, that's trading blows, and we can do that later.
To block or get away from the strike?
Just try to block the strike, get away, but you cannot move. Do not retaliate, no. But you cannot move until he moves, right? That defeats the purpose. We're talking about action beating reaction.
So you're going to count to 3.
I'm going to count to 3. Everybody here.
Or we can wait.
Yeah, I count to 3, you know it's coming.
We're free to go after 3.
Yeah. So ready? Everybody understands, right? 1, 2, 3. That didn't work. All right. Okay, John, when he does it, I'm going to say, well, let's make it simple. When I say 3, you go, right? So he ain't got to judge you. You know, 1, 2, 3, go, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3. How many times you poked him so far? Both. 2 for 2. All right, well, that's bad if he's poking you. All right, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3.
I'll jump the gun.
That's habit. Now, guys, reach back out. Make sure you're still within arm's reach. Shoulder, not chest. Shoulder, yeah, shoulder, not chest. Every time you do the drill, reset back to center. Right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. John knows the secret. It's not so much a secret, it's just a training. It's a training, it helps.
Yeah, that was a deflected.
It helps.
Much closer to the other.
It helps. 1, 2, 3. Back in range. Make sure you're back in range. Breathe. 1, 2, 3. Good. Guys, come back. You're coming back. Yeah, slide back on a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, I like that wing line.
Okay. That's our wing deflection John's using. That's the actual only way to try to stop it. 1, 2, 3. All right, how many times did you get him?
Every time.
Every time. We're 5 for 5?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? Let's switch it. Maybe it's just because you got shorter arms.
4 or 5 or 5.
Yeah, but it was every turn.
There was one that was arguable.
There was one that I put, like, if there's chalk on my fingers, I think I'd have touched it. But
What if it was a knife?
You'd be going.
My shirt might have been cut. Yeah, I think there was one that
It might have been clear. Okay, that's how you judge it. Okay, so yeah, but you're still a pretty good odds. 90%.
I'd still rather be me than him.
90%, right? All right, let's see if it's any better going the other way. Switch partners. Make sure you got the range. We're just simply proving action beats reaction at least 90% of the time within arm's reach. Same rules. 1, 2,
Slow one.
3. Gotcha. All right.
Dominant hand fast now. Difference.
1, 2, 3. Go faster, Steve.
That was kind of blocked. Mine are being like snapped.
You're actually all the way back. So.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, I got so much.
Hey, he blocked it.
No, it was so fast.
Camera didn't pick up on that one.
Oh yeah, we have to slow
I
that
swings
down.
with the knife and he says he missed me. He said, "Shake your head."
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I was assuming you were going to jump again.
All right, let's have a little fun with this. How about this? This time, John. Everybody else, use whichever hand you want.
Alternate?
I don't care.
Which one you want?
Any hand you want. 1, 2, 3. Did you get it?
No.
Oh, you got you, right? I was going to say, I was surprised.
I thought you were talking to him, didn't you?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Get you? All right, let's go back. Okay, switch back. Stevie? What did I say?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't.
Every time.
Every time.
Gotcha every time. Well, let's make it fair again. Match your read, match your range, switch back over, use your other partner. Steve, this time, let's make it fair. You can use either hand and poke him anywhere you want. Hey, this should make it easier, right?
So the shorter person's poking wherever.
Wherever. Well, anywhere in the anywhere in the torso, right? Don't be
Yeah, okay, we can reach from here. That works.
don't be tag flicking. Don't be Bill G. No Bill G to the eyes. No.
I was just thinking that too. I was like,
No flick to the groin.
He hates because I always.
Hey, personal space, baby. That's a reactionary gap right there.
I react to that when people start moving up on this.
But look
I get
here.
real uncomfortable. Like you're getting way.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You got 8-foot arms. Yeah, you know what? If everybody was shorter and smaller and weaker and slower than you, it really wouldn't matter. You made no need to train. So we have to just deal with
Well, it's
it.
not weaker than I am. It's quite a bit stronger than me.
All right, ready, Stevie? You ready, Stevie? 1, 2, 3.
oh, I got it.
Yeah, you're
You get you?
You're the
I'm the poker.
1, 2, 3. Yeah? Yeah? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I seen that one. Yeah, it's probably. All right. Hey, everybody, grab one of the training knives, real quick. Hurry up, quickly. Just dump them out. Just dump them out. Just dump them out. Just dump them out. Everybody, grab one so everybody's got one. Just take a knife over there, back here. You only need one, but grab one of the training knives. All right, set and then set. Make sure one of you guys will out one. All right, let's see. Let's switch back again. Go back to the taller guy. That's some fun. All right, now it got real, right? If I can touch you and I've got a knife, that means what? I can kill you. That's deadly force, right? The moment an opponent threatens you with a weapon, that threat is escalated, right? And you can respond with deadly force. If they have the potential to use deadly force, by the laws of the state of Missouri, you can respond and defend yourself with the necessary and sufficient force to neutralize the threat, right? Now, I do not say that means kill them. I'm saying, it is deadly force, so react accordingly.
Proportionate.
It's a proportionate response. Proportionate response. That is the magic words. All right. We'll go on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Still trying to distract you.
Gotcha.
Try not to stab because this doesn't feel fast.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Well, I guess you sort of. It depends on what winning is for you.
I would phrase it. I didn't lose as bad.
As badly. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Make sure you're back in arm's reach. Switch it back. All right. Let's have one last fun run here. Arms reach, not weapon reach. Arms reach, not weapon reach. Go when you're ready. Oh! All right, do it again. Do it again.
Go when you're ready.
Go when you're ready.
This rated.
That's it.
That's not a fun game, right?
No, especially not because when I'm in my arm's reach,
You let it go. I didn't know whatsoever.
No.
It's just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I died. Right? Okay, so we understand. When you're starting to deal with lethal force within arm's reach, you're no longer playing a game. Oh, gotcha.
I was trying to go easy.
You're no longer playing a game. You got to understand that. So what do we know? We have proven experimentally, and we can also prove it empirically, right? But multiple times, multiple studies, we have proven and demonstrated action beats reaction when in arm's reach. So you must control and maintain your understanding and range inside the reactionary gap. You have to keep your opponent far enough outside of that range. They say, come here, you want some candy. They say, hey, come here, you got any change, right? Your reaction time and what you say to that person, it doesn't matter. What matters is how far away you let them get to you before you say or act to it, right? If a human being gets within your personal space, within your reactionary gap, that's actually a form of assault, right? It's actually it actually moves into contact cornering if they make contact. But you're cornering a person inside their personal space, and that can escalate. The problem with that escalation is because they're inside your personal space, you do not have time to do anything about it if they go first. Everybody understand that? Right? Action beats reaction within arm's reach. That's the principle behind the reactionary gap. Right? So, how do we use this to our advantage? Well, let's talk about how we get in our ready stance. What's the difference, Johnny, between a ready stance and a fighting stance?
Ready stance looks a bit more passive.
Speak up a little more.
Ready stance looks slightly more passive than a fighting stance.
Is there any other difference, at least in our system, between a ready stance and a fighting stance?
Fist versus open.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it comes down to, right? The reality is it's based on the same principle, the same body mechanics, but it's empty hand versus closed fist. Why?
Less threatening to reach. One.
CNN tactics.
Everybody's got an answer, right? Number one, it's less threatening. I look like I don't want to fight. And it always helps because I also do what? I say I don't want to fight. Now, everybody who's listening or paying attention or has a camera phone hears me say that because they're going to be witnesses to the police 9 times out of 10, right? Unless they run for it, right? What was the other one? Somebody else give me another answer. What was the other answer?
CNN tactics.
Okay, reach. We'll go around circles, right? Reach. If John here, go ahead and set the knife down out of the way safely and carefully so no one steps on it. All right. John puts up a fighting stance. Reach. Show me your reach, John. Then back it up just out of reach so that you're on chin, right on contact, right? Show me your fighting range reach, Stephen. All right, give me yours again, John. Stay in contact, John, on his chin. Oh, right. So you guys can see this, right? Pivot and rotate, guys, so that it's obvious to the camera here. Right, keep turning. Keep turning. Keep turning. Right? Steve is out of range. Keep going, guys. Do a cold 360. Steve is out of range, but John can make contact at will because they're both in fighting stances. Now change that to a motion that would have been used in your ready stance, Stephen. Oh, yes. Because the hand is open, he has more reach, as Nicholas in the back said, right? He has roughly 2 or 4 inches of reach, depending on his fingers, right? What is that? What other advantage besides reach does having your hand open like that give you? Adam?
CNN tactics and plausible deniability.
Yeah, we're training for Area 51 here. Yeah, plausible deniability. Right.
You're also more relaxed, so you're faster.
Right. All of that. All of these are accurate statements, right? You got a lot more tools. Your hand, make a fist, and your hand's tight by definition. You're tightening up the muscles in your hand and the ligaments and all that to make a fist, which means there's muscular resistance, right? The antagonist muscles are slowing you down. But you open your hand, by definition, there's less resistance. There's more reach. There's more range. There's more tools, right? You were saying trapping range. I got all these things. Show me, Mr. Dunn. Come up here with John. You guys are roughly the same reach, right? Show me a little reenactment of you and that boxer at the pool. John's the boxer running his mouth about being the Golden Gloves. He puts his fists up. Right, instantaneous. Do that again in about half that speed. Right, because his hands are up. Start with the magic words, slow motion. So
I don't want to fight.
Right, jet style. Right, boom. Right, all this range controls. Right, now if you did the same thing, John's got fisties and you got fisties. Right, show me you see the difference? You're just giving away those tools. Now, can you touch him, Johnny? Can you touch him, Timmy? Right, yeah. So you're trading blows now. That's not self-defense. That's doing what?
Fight trading blows.
Taking turns, right? Yeah, taking turns, trading blows. Rock'em Sock'em Robots is not a good plan for self-defense. Number one, because half the time it's something like Adam over here against somebody the size of Steve. All else being equal, Show me a little hip throw or something, Steven. Stop it, Adam. Stop him, Adam. Stop him. Yeah. Now, all else being equal, size does matter. Yeah, so he's going to launch it, right? Game over. Game over. All right, come back up. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. Right? All else being equal, size does matter. Anybody that says otherwise, anybody else says otherwise is selling something, right? When Adam tries to fight Steve, pound for pound, strength for strength, that works. But all else being equal, size does matter. So unless there's a point where Adam's techniques are superior to Steve's, if they're roughly evenly matched, Adam's going to have a rough afternoon. You're trying not to drill him into the floor, aren't you, Steven? It looked like it. He's holding him up half the time.
I feel you hesitating.
Yeah, he's like fresh cold, right? Yeah. Now, anybody that hasn't tried any variation of this, there's a big difference, like I said, big difference between training against a resisting opponent, right, and training with partners who are pretending to resist. Feigned resistance is one of the #1 threats of training with all this stuff, right? Well, I want you guys to understand that when you're dealing with this, you have to be training, at least for self-defense purposes, with accurate representations of speed, power, and resistance. You got to do that safely, of course. But if you're not training for it, and the first time you get hit is in the streets, the first time you really have your bell rung is in the streets, what's going to happen?
Shit beat out of you.
Beep.
Trust me.
Yeah. You're going to get the poo beat out of you, right? And that happens, right?
Very disorienting.
Yeah. Rings your bell. You lose your.
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit.
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit. Exactly. Mike Tyson. Right. Of course, Mike was hungry.
Yeah.
So,
We also punch through bricks.
yeah, so it's all math, right? So you guys understand that application, right? So our hidden stance is different from a fighting stance only in the manner that your fist is open and you say the words,
I don't want to fight.
Does it have to be I don't want to fight? No,
Don't
just
hurt me.
don't leave me alone. Stay back. Any variation, verbal distractions. These verbal distractions are important because even though he's the bad guy, his brain does take a millisecond or 3 to process that verbal distraction, those words you're saying, right? Just that simple act buys you a millisecond. And it's sometimes when it's pulling the trigger or stabbing with a knife, that millisecond is life or death, literally and figuratively. Right? So when you come in, Johnny and Timmy, right? When you see these guys doing this,
I've been here long.
right? Their footwork. Show me your footwork, guys. Right? They stand neutral, right? They kind of come back. Now they're going to step half foot forward, half foot back, right? And they turn their knees and hips away, right? Why? Because they don't want to be hitting the groin. It's common sense, right? But when you see the range they're at, you see people standing in like cat stances and like front stance and forward stance, all that stuff, and you're just leaving the groin open. In real conflict and in Kajukenbo, kicking to the groin is legal, right? There is nothing illegal.
Encouraged.
Kicking to the groin in Kajukenbo is legal and encouraged in practice. That's what we say, right? And you see their hands, right? Their hands are up. Their fingertips are at eyebrow level. That means hands are up away from, in front of their faces, far enough and protecting enough of it to keep from actually getting hit in the face. You see Tim's fingers there. His thumbs are kind of together, not tight, but he's not leaving his fingers dangling or his thumbs dangling where they're going to get broken. And their elbows are bent just outside a 90-degree angle, creating a barrier in front of this, right? So now, if Johnny throws a jab at Tim, he's got to cross that barrier, right? And vice versa. If Tim throws a shot at John, he's got to go through that barrier. You don't block it, you intercept it, right? That makes a lot of difference, especially at the speeds we're dealing at. Right? You don't try to block the target, you intercept it. Every strike is a block, every block is a strike, right? If you are taking turns, he punches, I block, I punch, he blocks, you're not fighting, you're taking turns. So the barrier itself creates your defensive line. So they can throw shots on the high line all day long, and they just naturally flow into the attacks. Just throw back and forth, guys. Throw shots, stop it at each other. Right? He goes, there we go. Right? You can see that. Go back, guys. Yeah, Tim's judo there. He's a black belt in judo. Right? So you see that. They're not choreographing this. Go ahead and throw. Go and throw. Right? They're not choreographing these strikes. The barrier they're presenting, Stevie and Adam. Now, Steve, John, and Tim are brown belt candidates testing for their black belt in a couple weeks. Adam's been with me for about 6 months, so you can see the training isn't, he doesn't enjoy this game quite as much, but it's fun for me to watch, and that's all that matters. Alright, time. Nice, that's called a spike in Kajukenbo. Elbowing people in the back of the spine when they do a double leg or a clinch is completely legal. Come back in the light, guys, come over here. Right, so those principles are important. So we start in our hidden stance, right? Understanding the hidden stance, and now we're in a hidden stance, and we're outside of the reactionary gap. We're relatively safe from many threats, right? But if John is the bad guy, we signify that by him closing his fists. So it's easy to recognize for training who the good guy and the bad guy is. You don't have to think about it. And John steps in and encroaches on Tim, that's one thing. But if they're back where they were, and Tim says the magic words,
I don't want to fight.
And now John encroaches, that's it. He doesn't even have to swing, right? As soon as they're back, he says, I don't want to fight, and John moves forward in a threatening manner. Tim is within his rights, legally, morally, spiritually, whatever you want, to defend himself. You don't wait, right? The moment you say, you know, at least in Missouri, we don't have to worry about standard ground. We have the castle doctrine, all that kind of stuff, right? I don't have a retreat clause, so I can protect myself and my family. He said, I don't want to fight, and John comes forward anyway. That indicates that John does want to fight, and that's where you move from. You don't wait to see if John swings. Now, the advantage to this is pretty simple, because we call it first strike advantage, because we know action beats
reaction within arm's reach.
Action beats reaction within arm's reach. So what that means in simple terms is, if you're within arm's reach, if you're inside the reactionary gap, whoever goes first is probably going to do what? Win. They're at least going to get the upper hand. They're going to start to dominate the fight right off. You may call it a preemptive strike. You may call it a sucker punch. You can call it whatever you want. The fact is, that's real self-defense, right? And that's what the bad guys are going to do if they get the chance. So when John's the bad guy, Tim's the good guy.
Please don't hurt me.
Right? That looks a little aggressive, right? That looks just a hair aggressive. Why? You said he didn't want to hurt him, but he walked in and elbowed him in the face. You might not buy that. I would, because I like Tim a lot, but I like John too, so I'm torn. I'm ambivalent, right? But instead, the first strike advantage doesn't have to be a hit. Action beats reaction, not hits beat reaction. So the first reaction be a swim to the clinch.
I don't want to fight. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
That's
don't
it.
Hurt me.
Now they're in, right? Now they're into a grappling mode, right? Or any variation thereof. When you deal with that, now you're dealing with the first strike advantage. You use the first strike advantage to your advantage, and make sure the opponent doesn't get it as an advantage on you, right? Tim and Johnny, real quick.
Steve.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. Sorry, I'm watching it. I'm watching Tim's recording thing going. Now you're running out of time, white boy. Or maybe it's already done. I don't know what it means. Right, same thing though. So he goes. Right, Steve's a bad guy. He's big, strong, raw, right? John's already inside arm's reach. Where should he be? He should be a little back, right? Outside arm's reach. Now, Steve shoots in for a clinch. Boom, right? He can move, right? That's it. Because of the barrier, because of his hands position, see how he went right to the high clinch. Do it again in slow motion. His hands are already up. So when he shot into clinch, boom, he's right there to the clinch. You didn't have to do anything fancy. Good. Alright, so that's all we got time for. We'll probably run out of video here. Anyway, I want to thank my guys here. Steve, John, Tim, Nick, Adam, new Rick. Respects, guys. CQB Kajukenbo Club. Kajukenbo forever. Aloha. Mahalo.
So, yeah.
And you guys can review about it,